Hello, Mzansi. You are listening to Farmers Inside Track, proudly brought to you by Food for Mzansi. Officially, this is the world's best podcast for 2024, as awarded by WAN-EFRA, the global organization for the world's press. I am your host, Patricia Tembo. Welcome to episode 450. Today we're discussing a very interesting and exciting topic in the agricultural space, and that is drone technology. This episode is set to be very informative and practical as we welcome Thulani Magida, founder of Juta Agritech. Thank you, Thulani Magida, for joining us on Farmers Inside Track. You actually have a very impressive resume, as one would say. You are founder of your agri-consulting company, Juta Agritech.
Thank you for having me. I would say that I'm quite qualified because I spent some time in the private sector working before I actually started the business. So yeah, you are correct.
And you're being quite modest because you do also have multiple degrees to your name. You hold a master's in agricultural economics and your MBA. And somehow in the midst of that, you found the time to start up Juta Agritech. Just to start off with the company, what does Juta mean? How was the company founded?
Patricia, I think that is my problem. I don't brag enough. Maybe I should start learning. During my MBA, I was obsessed then to start my own business. I think that's what an MBA does to one. It puts a drive inside you to start your own business. Juta Agritech is a business I founded back in 2022, so it's not an old business. And the idea behind was to provide technology to emerging farmers. As you would know that in South Africa, our industry is dualistic in nature, and one side is defined as a commercial advance, uses technology, and the other side is defined as backward, non-productive, and doesn't adopt technology. So for me, I said maybe it's time to focus just on the technology part to see how we can bridge the gap between commercial farmers and emerging farmers. So the idea was specific to bring technology to emerging farmers. So with the advent of drone technology, I saw it as an opportunity. So I said, no, maybe I should also, because there's no reason why emerging farmers should still be behind on technology in this day and age. So I saw it as an opportunity. So that's how I started the business. But since 2023, then I started adding farming in the business. And like you said, I'm an agricultural economist by profession. So I also added some consulting and the farming part of the business. So we've grown our portfolio quite a bit since 2022.
I really love that you said there's no reason for emerging farmers to be left behind, especially when it comes to technology. So it's really important work as well that you're doing. What are the primary purposes of drone technology? What would you say is the reason that, this technology has taken off in the agricultural industry?
I think our biggest problem in agriculture or in our sector is to grow enough food from the same fixed land to feed a growing population. The only way you can do that is to find efficiencies where you can so that we can grow. If you look at the agricultural sector, it is the only sector that has grown here in South Africa since 1994. And one of the reasons why it has grown so far is the introduction of new technology like new seed breeds that are resistant, new chemicals, and so on and so forth. So technology has always played a part in growing the sector so that we can grow enough food to feed this growing population. So drones are also just part of that efficiency because they have quite a number of applications, which we will discuss a little bit later. You can spread fertilizer more effectively. You can spray more effectively than you used to, and even more cost effectively. That is the primary applications of drones in terms of agriculture, to find those efficiencies so that you can grow, can become more productive in the same amount of land that you have.
Thank you, Thulani. And the general person thinks of drones, you think of, filmmaking and photographers, because I know that's what they use. And it's quite innovative that it's something that's applied within the agricultural space. And what are the different types of drones that you can find, usable for agricultural purposes? Is it the commercial ones that maybe you would find at the stores, or are they specified for agricultural use?
Yes, Patricia. There are quite a number of drones. Like we had mentioned as well, they are the ones that we use just for cinematic purposes. But there are different types of drones from different types of manufacturers in South Africa. But in South Africa, we are big on DJI, also on XAG drones, but mainly DJI drones. They have quite a number of drones. For example, they have small cinematic drones, like I said, drones that you can use to take videos so that you can, post on Facebook and get attention like I've managed to get yours. And also to check your germination, to check your crop lodging, to check your wind pressure. So these ones basically is just the use of the camera to check those things, to be up in the sky and be able to see the overall picture of what's happening on the ground. But furthermore, there are other more technical drones that are are very helpful in agriculture. For example, the multispectral drones, which provide information about the crop health before the damage can be severe or before we can even see that damage by a naked eye. So it gives the farmer an advantage to start putting proactive plans in place so it can assess the damage on the crop health before it can be even picked up by a farmer. And then over and above that, there are now spray drones. And the spray drones are quite the big ones. The information that you would gather from the smaller drones, which is the multispectral, and load it on the spray drones, then that spray drone can target the areas that are severely affected and put more chemicals if you're applying chemicals, or put more fertilizer. And the areas that are not severely affected, then it put a little bit of fertilizer. Those are the types of drones that we currently have in agriculture. So it's a cinematic one that you can use to capture those nice photos and maybe have that bird's eye view. And also the multispectral one that helps you to see damage before you can even see it by your naked eye. And also the actual big drones that you can use to spray chemicals, spread fertilizer, and also spread some seed. So those are the typical drones that we have in agriculture.
I think it's really useful that you're able to proactively manage crop damage, like you said. And I think that goes into the next question I was going to ask you, that in your company, how have you seen the sustainable benefits for the farmers who come to you? Have you seen how it contributes to sustainable agriculture, the technology?
Yes, I think that is one of our biggest concerns now, is how can we farm responsibly? In this case, looking at environment and also financial, because if you talk about sustainability, you're talking about environment and financial stability of the business so that it can be sustainable. So with drones, like I said, the farmer can do variable rate application, which puts less chemicals and inorganic fertilizers on the soil. This is also saving costs. So it's both environmental and financial. So you're putting less of the bad stuff on the soil, and also you are saving cost as well. And they use much less water than ground application. I mean, with a drone, you can apply the same amount of chemicals using 30 liters a hectare compared to the ground application, which is a boom sprayer that needs about 400 liters a hectare, even more so with the aerial application. So you can see it's also saving in terms of water, and water has always been the biggest concern in South Africa and in agriculture in the recent years, and also impacting environmental and also cost-wise. It also saves in terms of, if you look at the CO2 emissions, if you're driving a tractor, you're burning a lot of fuel, which puts a lot of carbon dioxide on the atmosphere. But with the drones, as much as there is a little bit of footprint, but it's reduced significantly. So there are those environmental and also financial, which talks to sustainability. So yeah, drone technology is very vital and important.
With the different commodities in agriculture, who would you say drone technology would benefit? Which farmers do you see, really raving about drone technology? Where has it been most applied?
Maybe firstly, we can look at broad groups in terms of agriculture, looking at crop production and animal. There are applications for animal, but they are limited. There are thermal drones that you can use to see where is your game at night. So it reads the heat temperature of an animal. Then it's easy to see them at night. So you can find them wherever they are. I think that application can also be used to monitor theft in terms of game and also animal production. You can use a little bit of drone technology. But most of all, it's highly applicable in the crop production side because, like I said, we have crop health monitoring drones, which feed drone spread fertilizer. The biggest part of it is that it benefits more crop farmers than livestock farmers. And I think there's also another area that maybe one of the reasons why Juta got involved is if we look at who benefit from this, if we look at from a point of emerging farmer and a commercial farmer, at this stage, or ideally, it's supposed to be benefiting all the farmers, commercial and emerging. But due to the problems of cost, of attaining the drone, of licensing, and the understanding in terms of adopting the drone, at this stage is currently being utilized and benefiting commercial farmers. So there's still a lot of ground that needs to be covered for drone technology to also benefit emerging farmers, just to address the issue of cost, address the issue of understanding so that it can be technology that can be applied, and also the adoption of the technology as well. So yeah, mainly crop farmers. There's a lot of applications for crop farmers. And on the other hand, also commercial farmers are the ones that are benefiting a lot on this technology. So we are busy on the ground trying to get this technology also to benefit emerging farmers.
You mentioned how it can be used to prevent stock theft, which is quite a big issue with livestock farmers. So I think for our livestock farmers listening, yeah, the conversation is quite relevant for them too, and not just for crop producers. What is the training or licensing that is required to operate a drone?
That is one of the serious topics that needs to be touched when we look at drone technology, especially in the emerging sector. I mean, flying a drone is sanctioned by CAA, the Civil Aviation Authority, which just shows the seriousness and the importance of drone application. It can cause quite a significant harm from an individual and all the way to a group of people, because if you fly a drone in a control zone, like closer to an airport, and then you collide with a landing plane, then that can be catastrophic. So that's why this drone licensing is sanctioned by CAA. But if you look specifically in terms of what kind of licensing that needs to be in place, for example, Juta Agritech as the business needs to have a license to operate drones. So the business has to be licensed to operate drones, whether I'm operating them in my farm or operating to provide a service elsewhere. So those are the two different areas that you can use drones, but both of those areas need to be licensed. So the type of license that you need there is called ROC, which costs about 150,000. And that is one of the reasons why it's difficult to penetrate the drone technology space. So the licensing of the business on its own is costing quite a lot, and it's important that you have it. And it takes anything between 12 to 24 months to license. So it's quite a lengthy process as well. And then the other license that you need to have in place is now what you call the remote pilot license, which is the individual pilot license. Like myself, I'm a licensed pilot. I've went through a training of the RPL, and it also takes about 3 to 4 months to have it. So it's another licensing that you need, and it's also renewable every 2 years. So it's a serious issue. Also, the licensing of each individual drone, it must also have a license plate like a vehicle would have. That's also another important one. So the business needs to be licensed, the pilot needs to be licensed, and also the drone itself needs to be licensed. And then there's also a requirement from DAF, which is about how one can apply pesticides. So there is a course called POC. So it's also another one that is required. So there's those type of licensing in place, and all of them cost money.
Wow, I actually didn't know that the drone itself also requires a license. Thank you so much for that, Thulani. And I was also just curious to know if there are apps that one uses, with the drones. I'm not sure if Cape Farm Mapper, I think it's just the Western Cape that uses that kind of technology. Is there anything available that, one uses alongside the drone to, I guess, understand the data that is being transmitted through the drone?
I think that is the important things when you are looking at the drones, because there's a data side of it. But from the app point of view, each manufacturer of drone, like DJI in this case, they have their own apps that can work with their drones. For example, DJI uses Pilot 2 for mapping. So if you are going to just do a grid map of your farm, also just to map the route that you're going to use to spray. So you use the DJI Pilot 2, which comes with the hardware. So for mapping and grid surveys, you can use that Pilot 2. And then for analysis of those multispectral information that you get from the drone to see how is the crop health, what you need to apply, what is the route that you need. And then all of that, you use also a DJI Terra. So that's another app that comes with the DJI drones. Use that. It's an app that is available for that. And also then to take that data from the multispectral drone into the drone that you're going to use to actually do the spraying work. There's also another platform that they use, which is called a DJI Smart Farm platform. So those are the ones that I currently know of. I mean, if you are a business, then that is already operational and providing this information, to analyze data so that you can, provide it as a service to other farmers. I think there would be apps that you would use to enhance how you present the drone. But specifically just to apply to fly the drone and do your mapping and do your fertilizer applications and best applications, then you just use these apps that I've mentioned, the DJI Pilot 2, the DJI Terra, and also the DJI Smart Farm application.
I'd like to know more about Juta Agritech as well, and take the opportunity for you to tell us a bit more about your company, maybe speaking more towards what Juta Agritech is doing to bridge the gap between the technological innovations such as drone technology and, as you said, emerging farmers or small-scale farmers.
I must confess that we are still in the process of licensing and the process of the drones. Like I had mentioned earlier, it's a little bit lengthy and it's quite costly. And on the other hand, I'm also running consulting business, which currently takes a lot of cash flow. I'm trying to fund the farming business so that it can fund the drone business while I'm still busy licensing. So that is one of the challenges that I'm currently licensing the business. So I haven't provided the service yet. But that is the idea, and the key objective is that we need to provide this service to emerging farmers. And remember, some of the characteristics of the farmers in the Eastern Cape is that they are small. So a drone is more maneuverable in a garden, in a 1 hectare plot. Those are the benefits that we want to bring to the farmers. And like I said, that you can use variable rate application to apply chemicals and fertilizer. So that will bring the chemical cost and the fertilizer cost of the farmers. So those are the kind of services that we're trying to bring to emerging farmers. But we are also on the other side trying to engage with the government, because remember, there is these services of flying a drone and spray and spread fertilizer. Those ones farmers can afford. But there's also a data part that comes with the application of drones, where the government can come and, if they want to know in a certain valley, for example, how many farmers are there of citrus? What is the hectareage? What is the age of the orchards? What kind of cultivars are there? All of that information can be collected using a drone, so that we don't go to Johannesburg to look for information that we need in the Eastern Cape for Eastern Cape. So that is information that the government can also utilize to make decisions. For example, if they want to build a pack house, they want to know how many farmers are in that area. Is it viable to build a pack house? So such information to say, where are the farmers? How big are they? What are the cultivars? What are the age of the trees? And so on and so forth. That is part of the data that the government can use to make decisions. So we are busy trying to engage with the government so that they can, assist Juta in this case to procure for the farmers, because there will also be a lag in terms of adoption of the technology. Remember, the farmers that we are dealing with in the Eastern Cape, South Africa entirely, the emerging farmers, they tend to be older and the understanding is very difficult. So they would procure a drone or a service to spray and to spread, but the data side to take decisions and so on, that will lag behind. So we need the government to come on board and support initiatives like this, so that we can propel the adoption of the technology, so that emerging farmers can also, benefit from this good technology that is there.
Speaking on the challenges, you did mention that, you brought up the cost challenges that come with adopting drone technology, as well as, I wouldn't say resistance, but just, I guess, a hesitance from the older generation.
Yes, hesitance, yes.
Farmers, to adopt it into their practices, because they're confident in what they have always known to work.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think the point you mentioned, with bringing in government as well is, can you tell us more about if there are more challenges that you've seen implementing drone technology besides the ones you've already mentioned?
The biggest one is cost. It's quite costly. There is people who have the knowledge like myself. And there are a lot of unemployed graduates that need to develop new skill, because drone licensing is a new skill entirely. And I think it would be something of the future where it might also be, be part of a curriculum. So there are people like that I can also bring on board and train so that they can fly these drones, so that they can help and drive the issue of adoption. I think I've also mentioned the issue of the cost of buying these drones. That's also another challenging aspect of the drone technology. If you look at most funding institutions that I've knocked into in terms of drone technology, the first question is, what is a drone? So then you just see immediately that it will be difficult to access funding. So over and above the emerging farmer part of the drone adoption technology, there's also government institutions and funding institutions that are still behind as well in terms of how drone technology can be helpful in agriculture, especially for emerging farmers. That is one of the things. And there are, like I mentioned, that operating a drone is very cost effective. That would also translate to emerging farmers because it would cost you less to spray with a drone than to spray with a tractor. If you look at the logistics of getting a tractor into the land, it's a big operation, but a drone is quick and maneuverable, so it becomes cheaper. And also there are direct costs to a farmer. Like I mentioned that with variable rate application, you can just put just enough or what is needed plant to survive or to become healthier. So then you don't just do a blanket application of, so you save a lot of cost. So there are those benefits in terms of using drone technology. And that is why we need to be helped so that this technology is adopted, so that we also, leapfrog the adoption of this, because there is a big gap between commercial farmers and emerging farmers. And we need players like Juta Agritech to fill in the space and provide this information, these services to emerging farmers, and also with the help of government, like I said, to help the adoption process.
Thank you, Thulani. And I'm curious to know, what are you most excited to see with the adoption of drone technology, especially for South African, or Black South African farmers who are still emerging? Like, what excites you about drone technology being, more commonly used?
While I was working previously, one of the things that I always try to improve on, we have to make agriculture cool. So that is what we need to do as young people. We have that enough time to make agriculture cool so that we can attract more young people. And drone technology is one thing that can make agriculture cool. We have a lot of unemployed graduates whose perspective about agriculture is about working on the field, and it's not exciting really. But if you look at the precision agri practice recently, drone technology is one of them in the forefront that can attract these people. So it's exciting to have such technologies. To fly a drone is just exciting on itself. So it would be exciting for me to be able to attract a lot of young people to open their own businesses to provide this service to emerging farmers, not only Juta Agritech. It would be exciting as well to have, young people working for Juta Agritech to provide. Remember, with technology, the younger you are, the better you are with understanding. So it will also give an advantage to Juta Agritech to have younger people operating these drones and working for us. It just brings excitement. And another exciting part is that we don't have to wait, because we've always been behind commercial farming. Whatever is introduced, we are behind to adopt. That's also exciting that there are a lot of black pilots that are also in the space. So it's exciting. We also need a lot of black businesses that are operating drones. My drone pilot license, I did it NTSU, which is a black-owned business. That was also exciting to do. So there's a lot of inclusion that drone technology can do. We are very busy with transforming the sector. It's one of the low-hanging fruits, if I can put it that way, to transform the sector, to help the emerging sector, to commercialize emerging farmers. And we need, these technological advancements to help that process. It is the excitement for me, younger people being involved in agriculture, using technology, enjoying themselves, that is very exciting. The future is really exciting. One of the things that I've thought about some time ago is that, Food from Mzansi is telling our story. I could be in this corner having this drone technology idea and so on, but if it's not going out there and I'm not getting feedback through platforms like this, then it really defeats the purpose. And also with platforms like this, then the adoption of drone technology can also be enhanced. So I really appreciate the time that you invited me so that I can participate and contribute my knowledge in terms of how drone technology can be applied, in particular for emerging farmers.
Thank you so much, Thulani Magida, founder of Juta Agritech. For more information on the topic, visit www.foodformzansi.co.za. And remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platforms. From me, Patricia Tembo, our technical producer, Megan van der Vent, and the rest of #Team Food for Mzansi, thank you for listening.
Life in South Africa can be a lot. Scroll through Twitter for a minute and tell me I'm wrong. Thank God for South Africans though, right? We're inspiring, and even on the bad days, we fight back with a smile. That's why I love Food for Mzansi so much. They're not ashamed to celebrate the ordinary unsung heroes who work every day to put food on our nation's tables. Go to foodformzansi.co.za and never miss an inspiring story.